Your RAG system can ace your benchmark and still fail in production because the test was too easy.
Exactly. And hard negative mining is one of the fastest ways to find out whether your retriever actually understands relevance or just gets lucky on obvious matches.
So define it cleanly. What is a hard negative?
A hard negative is a result that looks relevant to the query, but is actually wrong. It shares keywords, topic, or style with the right document, so a weak retriever ranks it high.
Not random junk. A convincing imposter.
Right. If the positive document is the true answer, the hard negative is the decoy that tempts your retriever into making a confident mistake.
Give me a concrete RAG example.
Say a user asks, "How do I rotate AWS access keys safely?" The correct chunk explains key rotation for IAM users. A hard negative might be a chunk about rotating KMS keys. Same cloud platform, same verb, same security vibe, wrong task.
And if your retriever puts the KMS chunk above the IAM chunk, the generator sounds smart and gives the wrong procedure.
Which is why this matters. In retrieval training and evaluation, easy negatives do not stress the ranking function. Hard negatives do. They reveal whether the model can separate near misses from true matches.
So this is less about recall in the abstract, and more about whether ranking breaks when the choices get uncomfortable.
Yes, anybody can beat random distractors. The real contest is among documents that are all plausible at first glance. That is where winners and losers in RAG quality separate.
What does weak ranking actually look like when hard negatives show up?
You see documents with high lexical overlap float to the top even when they answer a different question. Or broad overview pages beat the precise troubleshooting chunk. Or the retriever favors a popular template over the exact policy clause the user needs.
So, the bug is not always no relevant doc found. Sometimes the right doc is there, just outranked by a seductive fake.
Exactly. Here is another scenario. Query: why is my Postgres connection timing out after idle periods? The correct chunk covers connection pool idle timeout settings. A hard negative is a chunk about query timeout. Same database, same word timeout, very different fix.
That kind of error is brutal because the answer feels credible. The model is not babbling, it is confidently solving the wrong problem.
And that is why hard negatives are so useful in eval. If your test set only contains obvious mismatches, your metrics flatter the system. Add near duplicates, neighboring concepts, similar APIs, version-adjacent docs, and the ranking weaknesses become visible.
Let me push on training for a second. Why do hard negatives matter there without getting deep into ML internals?
Because they teach the retriever what not to overvalue. Without them, the model may learn that shared words are enough. With them, it has to pay attention to intent, constraints, and the small details that make one chunk actually useful and another merely related.
So, if my app answers legal, medical, or internal policy questions, the stakes jump fast.
They do. In high-stakes domains, the difference between relevant and almost relevant is where risk lives. Hard negatives expose whether your system can survive that boundary.
How would a programmer building a RAG stack spot candidates for hard negatives in practice?
Start with your own misses. Look at queries where users clicked one result but rejected the answer, or where the right chunk appeared below rank 1. The higher-ranked wrong chunks are often perfect hard negatives. Also, look for docs with similar titles, same product area, same error code family, or adjacent versions.
Give me one more practical example people can steal.
For an internal doc spot, query: how do I request production database access? Positive chunk: the page describing approvals for temporary read-only access. Hard negative: the page for requesting production deploy access. Same environment, same request flow, same approval language, wrong permission. Great stress test.
And if that deploy page keeps outranking the database page, your system is telling you it cannot distinguish neighboring intents.
Yes, and that insight is actionable. You can improve chunking, metadata, query rewriting, or the retriever itself. But first, you need a test that creates pressure. Hard negatives create that pressure.
So, the strategic point is this. Teams that evaluate with easy negatives think they are done. Teams that mine hard negatives discover where users will actually lose trust.
Exactly. Hard negatives turn retrieval from a demo skill into a production skill. They force your system to prove it can rank the right answer above the most tempting wrong one.
And that is the game in RAG, right? Not finding something related, finding the one thing that should win.
Yes, if you want a retriever you can trust, do not ask whether it beats junk. Ask whether it beats the best wrong answer.